Now, if this inspires her to take up a role in a Japanese Grey's Anatomy, then that would actually be a good development, and would connect back to that scene of Saya's mother learning how to cook for her own show. Am I psychic? We opened this week's episode with Saya hugging a giant tower and calling it her mother?
I'm sorry, what?
Actually, they were watching the final episode of a drama she starred in. Apparently, it was supposed to be some sort of modern rendition of Princess Kaguya. Oh, come on. What kind of service would include shows that are so clearly over the top and overly dramatic? I love multiple choice jokes. But yeah, it looks like Saya's acting career had really taken off. In fact, she had already secured her next role, the aforementioned young doctor role. However, to prepare for her role, she really wanted to get into character. Thus, using Mrs. Nono as a mediary, they set up a Q&A session with the doctor from episode 27. At the hospital, they met a kind of creepy little girl. Well, if the drama turns out to be a Stephen King adaptation, they should be mostly ready for it. Seriously, there's something off about those eyes. Anyway, the Q&A session with Dr. Maki quickly evolved into a one-day internship. Yeah, pretty generous of this lady, especially considering how many years of medical school my sister had to go through. I mean, obviously, she wasn't going to allow them to do anything big, but she did allow them to choose which section of the hospital they wanted to work at. And in some nice subtle bits of characterization, Homari chose orthopedics while Hana and Emiru took pediatrics, the former having an easier time than the latter. Rura and Saya chose the maternity ward, where they participated in everything, including breathing exercises for childbirth, even though I'm pretty sure one of these girls can't get pregnant. Oh, I've got no joke. I just really wanted to play that clip. That's a good line. Anyway, as it turns out, the girl from earlier, whose name was Aya, was the daughter of an expecting mother, Ayumi. In fact, they were going to do it today, as Ayumi required a C-section. And yes, this becomes a fairly significant part of the episode, as the expecting mother was understandably hesitant about the procedure and— Oh, I'm sorry, I think I might have put a little bit too much in my Irish coffee this morning, because this can't be for real. But yeah, they go all in with this, with Saya even looking up C-sections and having a discussion with Dr. Maki about how safe the procedure was and how they might be able to relieve Ayumi's worries by relaying this information. The doc, however, didn't completely agree with Saya's sentiment, as while you can get a lot of useful information from Google Sensei, it doesn't apply to every expecting mother situation, and it's a doctor's job to figure out the best way to relieve those worries. In this case, Ayumi was under stress mostly because she was putting on a brave face in front of her daughter. She was concerned that she was already failing at properly raising her new child by having a C-section. From her viewpoint, she had already made too many mistakes when raising Aya and wanted to do a better job. Speaking of which, Saya soon found out that the mother wasn't the only one suffering from anxieties. Oh, that's an interesting way of reading books. I should try it sometime. Actually, this leads to one of the cutest gags in the whole damn show. Best of all, Ruru wasn't the butt of the joke this time. Later, Saya had a little talk with Aya. She expressed how she was well aware of her mother's shortcomings, and didn't mind them in the slightest. The thing she did mind was something she was hiding from her mother. She was afraid that her new sibling would steal all of her mother's love away from her. While this plot point does feel reminiscent of episode 43 of Heartcatch, it's not really deja vu worthy, as this was not a conflict placed solely on the daughter's shoulders. Both mother and daughter feared what tomorrow might bring for them and how it might affect the love they held for each other. Ironically, that same love for each other was causing suffering for both parties, as they were afraid of disappointing the other. And while Saya wasn't completely aware of Ayumi's concerns, she knew what the perfect medicine for the two was: removing an unnecessary wall the two had built between one another. Damn it all, who left all these onions on the counter? Seriously, I love episodes like this, but it's just so hard to make an entertaining review when there's not really much to make fun of. Oh, there we go. Meanwhile, Kryasu, jealous, was still suffering through her quarter-life crisis, leaving it up to the good doctor to take it this week. And he starts bringing the chaos by break you a few fourth walls. I'd give it the 3-episode test. And for his monster of the week, he makes another traffic cone monster just so that he can have more drills. Dude, I get where you're coming from, but you really need a new motif. Though I think he read up on the complaints from the last episode, and included a volume control on his monster so that it wouldn't break up the flow of the battle this time. Okay, I'm officially starting to love this guy. Saya put on easily her best performance so far, even deflecting a full-on Giga Drill break. Obviously, they still needed to finish things off with their fancy group finisher, but still, an easy MVP award for the Blue this week. Thus, Dr. Trom retreated, but not before coming up with a new plan to defeat the Precure. I wonder what that's going to entail and if it's going to lead to anything interesting next week. Anyway, the episode ended with Ayumi successfully giving birth, and Saya saying farewell to her first and possibly her last patient? Maybe? You know, going into this week's episode, I was expecting the worst because, let's face it, even in the really good Saya episodes, they were still a little bit iffy, and yet I really couldn't find much to complain about this other than a few nitpicks. This is one of my favorite episodes of the series. Maybe having a sister and a brother-in-law who are both doctors is making me a little biased. Regardless, I love this episode of Scrubs disguised as a magical girl anime. The storyline between the mother and daughter was absolutely heartwarming, and while they didn't outright say it this time, it did match up well with the show's main theme. Aya and Ayumi's inability to share their feelings with one another was because they feared what the outcome might be. That tomorrow might be vastly different than today. But, ultimately, those worries were all for nothing, as just as long as they could hold one another up, then they could walk towards that enigmatic tomorrow together. And of course, Saya was also in top form here. Her strongest trait has always been her ability to detect when someone is in need, while her greatest weakness was trying to solve those problems by just Googling them. Both of these were thankfully addressed in this episode, with some good social commentary to boot. Saya may be an overthinker, but she's still flexible enough that she can eventually improve both her problem-solving skills and her fighting technique. While I am still concerned about Saya changing jobs suddenly, it is at least clear that she has already left a mark in the acting world. Kind of wish we could have seen how she landed that bizarre Princess Kaguya role, but oh well. And if she does at least wait until after she has a role with her mother like she said she would, then at least she wouldn't be the first actor to move on to other things after arguably a successful career. Sprinkle in some great little bits of characterization for everyone else, and Dr. Trom being an absolutely entertaining meme lord, and you have the makings for probably the best Saya episode ever. Production on the final part of the Smile Precure reviews is going really well. Might take a little longer because one particular episode of the final third of the series gave me so many ideas that I just had to go all the way with it. I just hope you guys enjoyed watching it as much as I had making it. Look forward to it, and until then, no farewell for now, my friends. And earlier, I brought up the 3-episode rule. By any chance, what are you guys watching now that the autumn anime season is starting? Me personally, I'm really looking forward to the new anime adaptation of Gridman. I mean, I didn't see the original series, but I did see this. Good human samurai! Cheer up, Jealous. The time period you represent had stuff like this. That does cheer you up, right?